Every single player died in Squid Game Season 3. Some died while trying to save their friend, others died because they got too cocky. Today we'll break down them all. The first death we see is player 120's. During the fourth game, the infamous Knives and Keys challenge. Hyunju, who had teamed up with Junhee and Gimja, was part of the blue team. Throughout the round, we witness Hyunju protecting both of her teammates with relentless determination and skill. Two opposing players, player 226 and player 202, tried to attack them, but Hyunju fought them off and ultimately killed both. Her impressive combat ability came from her past. She was once a sergeant in the ROK Special Forces, trained extensively in hand-to-hand combat, as well as advanced weapons handling. She wasn't just good, she was elite. After finishing off player 202, Hyunju notices something unusual in the room. As she turns to leave, her eyes catch a door. Not just any door, but the exit door, the one that signifies the win condition of the game. Miraculously, she has all three required keys: the circle, the triangle, and the square. She opens it, and the way to victory lies in front of her. But just as she's about to step through, something stops her. She remembers Junhee and Gimja still waiting in another room, the room where Junhee had just given birth. Without hesitation and showing her selflessness, Hyunju abandons her chance to escape and walks back to them. Smiling, she shares the good news that they can finally leave, that they've won. But before anyone can react, disaster strikes. Hyunju is stabbed in the back, not once but twice. The attacker? MG Coin. She collapses to the floor, her face frozen in shock and sadness. Despite everything, Hyunju dies trying to save others. Her sacrifice marks the first tragic death in the game, one that none of us will forget. Though you might argue that Hyunju didn't deserve to die at all, some fans believe her story had been told and fulfilled, thus her death actually made sense. So what do you think? The next death we witness is that of a player 044, the shaman lady, and it's a much-deserved downfall. After tragically losing all her loyal followers, she eventually stumbles upon the exit door. Hope fills her face as she runs toward it, believing she can finally escape. But that hope quickly fades. As mentioned earlier, the door requires 3 keys to open: the circle, the triangle, and the square. She reaches her key and realizes she only has the circle one. Determined, she leaves the room in search of the remaining 2 keys. While searching, she encounters player 100. She notices something. He has both the triangle key and the square key. She tells him that she knows where the exit door is and that together they now have all 3 keys to escape. Gramps agrees and she leads him to the door. But just as the door opens and the light shines through, betrayal strikes. Gramps suddenly pushes her away from the doorway, steps inside and pulls 1 key from the lock, jamming the door shut behind him. The shaman lady slams on the door, shouting in rage, cursing player 100 with every word she can conjure. And then the real nightmare begins. Min-soo arrives. Still suffering the effects of the Thanos pills, he's hallucinating wildly. He approaches the shaman lady, trembling, shouting desperately for Semi, his dead friend. Confused and panicked, also because of the effects of the pills, he mistakes the shaman lady for Namgyu, the player responsible for Semi's death. Blinded by rage and delusion, Min-soo lashes out. He stabs her repeatedly, over and over, yelling Semi's name through tears and madness. The shaman lady dies painfully, sitting against the very door she helped open, her blood staining the ground. Her final curse may never be heard, but it's definitely felt, and many of us have already anticipated her death for months. While player 044's death was chaotic and brutal, Daeho's downfall was far more personal. His betrayal, his lies, and his cowardice finally caught up to him, and Gi-hun was ready to make him pay. Gi-hun holds Daeho personally responsible for the failed rebellion and the deaths of the players who participated in it, most notably the death of Gi-hun's best friend Yong-bae. Ever since that day, Gi-hun has had only one thing on his mind: revenge. And now in the fourth game, Knives and Keys, Gi-hun is determined to end Daeho's life for good. Daeho senses the tension. He confronts Gi-hun before the game begins, attempting to defend himself, but it's useless. Gi-hun isn't listening. He's already made up his mind. The moment the game starts, Gi-hun immediately begins hunting for Daeho throughout the maze, completely ignoring other blue team players. His focus is razor sharp. His target is Daeho. After a long, intense search, Gi-hun finally finds him in a room of stairs. The two clash in a brutal fight. In the heat of the moment, Dae-ho breaks down and confesses everything. He had been lying from the start. He was never a Marine, never strong, never skilled. The tattoo he had proudly worn was fake. He couldn't even fire a gun. All of it had been an act. Dae-ho begs Gi-hun for mercy, but Gi-hun is past reason. He lunges, but Dae-ho bolts, fleeing in desperation. He sprints into a nearby door only to discover too late that it's a trap. Behind it is nothing but a drop into the void. Cornered and hopeless, Dae-ho turns around slowly. And there stands Gi-hun, eyes full of rage. Without hesitation, Gi-hun attacks and ends up choking Dae-ho with his bare hands. Struggling, gasping, Dae-ho dies, his final moments consumed by fear and regret. While Dae-ho's death was driven by vengeance, Young-sik's was fueled by desperation and ended in pure heartbreak. It happens shortly after Hyun-ju's tragic death. Jun-hee and Gyum-ja leave the room where Jun-hee had given birth, following Hyun-ju's final message about the location of the exit door. As they're about to open it and escape, Young-sik suddenly appears, blocking their path. He's holding a knife. His eyes are full of panic and desperation. His target is Jun-hee, but Gyum-ja, his own mother, steps in between them and stops him. A tense silence fills the air. Young-sik then breaks down, explaining why he's doing this. He hasn't killed anyone during the game, not a single person. And he knows what that means. If the red players don't kill at least one opponent, they lose. He's gonna die. Tears stream down Gyum-ja's face. Her son, so lost and terrified, now considers killing an innocent young mother just to survive. Despite her heartbreak, she refuses to let him take Jun-hee's life. But Young-sik, growing frantic, pushes her aside, sending her crashing to the floor. He steps toward Jun-hee, raising his knife with trembling hands. His face is full of conflict, but his decision is made. He lifts the blade above his head, ready to bring it down, but then everything changes. Young-sik drops to the floor, whispering only one word. "Mom." His voice fades. Time runs out. He still hasn't killed anyone. Moments later, the guards arrive. Without hesitation, they shoot Young-sik where he lies. His story ends there, not as a killer, but as a broken son, undone by fear, love, and the cruelty of the games. While Young-sik was stabbed by his own mother in a moment of desperation, it was that very act that broke Gyum-ja completely. Not long after taking her own son's life to save Jun-hee, she made a heartbreaking decision of her own. After everything that had happened in the fourth game, she finally survives and returns to the dorms with Jun-hee and her newborn baby. But emotionally, Gyum-ja is shattered. Her son, Young-sik, is dead, and as she once said in Season 2, without him, she had nothing left to live for. But that wasn't all. Hyun-ju, whom she loved like a daughter, also died in the maze, protecting Jun-hee and Gyum-ja to the very end. The loss of both her real son and her found daughter left Gyum-ja completely broken, wandering like a ghost through the dorm. When the time came for the voting before the fifth game, she collapsed to her knees, once again begging the remaining players to stop the games entirely. She pleaded with everything she had left, tears, trembling hands, all of it. But once again, no one listened. The majority voted for the game to continue, and the O's won. That night, before lights out, she spoke privately with Gi-hun. Her voice was soft but certain. She told him none of this was his fault and encouraged him to stay strong. And then she said something that would stick with him forever. "Please protect Jun-hee's baby." Those were her final words to him. The night passed quietly. No fights, no screaming. For once, everyone seemed to sleep in peace. But when the players woke up the next morning and the guards entered the dorm with a coffin, the peace shattered. Gyum-ja was hanging from one of the high beds. She had taken her own life during the night. After losing the two people who meant everything to her, her son and her closest friend, she had nothing left, no reason to continue. Her choice was final, and it seemed she had made it with full clarity. This is the tragic, quiet end of Gyum-ja. Moving on to the jump rope game, we have the shocking and somewhat satisfying death of Nam-gyu. After losing his precious stash of Thanos pills and being completely unaware that Min-soo is now in possession of them, Nam-gyu is absolutely falling apart. Mentally, emotionally, physically, you name it. Min-soo, now holding all the pills, walks up to Nam-gyu, who's sweating bullets and spiraling fast. With the most smug expression ever, Min-soo pulls out the cross necklace that had been hiding the pills. Namgyu instantly flips, yelling at him, demanding the pills back. But Minsu, he's done being bullied. After everything Namgyu put him through, manipulation, threats, cruelty, Minsu is on his revenge arc. Instead of giving them back, he casually tosses the cross onto the bridge, where nobody has dared to step yet. Namgyu, desperate and shaking, realizes he has no choice. He becomes the first player to attempt the deadly bridge, all for the pills. He jumps and makes it, one piece at a time, just trying to get that cross. He finally reaches it, opens it, and plot twist, it's empty. The cross is empty. There are no pills. The realization hits Namgyu like a truck. His eyes go wide, his breath stops. The betrayal is complete. And just like that, the giant rope swings across the platform. Namgyu doesn't even try to dodge it. He just stands there, still frozen, still thinking about what just happened. The rope smacks him clean off the bridge. Namgyu falls into the abyss below. Player 124 eliminated. A poetic end to a chaotic villain. Player 096. It all starts during the 5th game, the jump rope bridge, when 096 successfully makes it across the bridge. He lands on the end platform and immediately turns around, clearly thrilled with himself. Then, smiling with false kindness, he holds out his hand and says to the next player, "I'll help you." The player, hopeful and trusting, moves forward to take his hand and gets shoved straight into the void. Without any hesitation, player 096 pushes him off the platform to his death. The betrayal is so sudden and unexpected that it's honestly hilarious. Gi-hun, watching all of this, is understandably confused and horrified. He says, "What are you doing?" To which 096 responds smugly, "What do you think? I'm playing the game." From that moment on, it becomes a full comedy of madness. 096 continues pushing people off the bridge one by one. Anyone who tries to finish the game and step onto the final platforms gets thrown off. He starts treating the edge like it's his personal gatekeeping station. Eventually, the line of players trying to beat the bridge comes to a stop. No one can pass because 096 is camping the final platform like it's a video game. And who's the next one trying to pass? Gramps. Gramps immediately realizes what's going on. He doesn't even try to play tough. Instead, he starts pleading with 096 to let him pass, offering half of his winnings. He tries to negotiate and charm his way out, but 096 just stares and refuses. He's having too much fun pushing people. Gi-hun has finally had enough. He walks up and tells 096 very clearly, "If you don't stop, I'll push you off myself." 096 hesitates, maybe sensing that Gi-hun isn't bluffing, and reluctantly steps aside. Gi-hun actually helps a few players pass, but of course 096 can't resist. He tries to attack Gi-hun from behind. What follows is a short fight where Gi-hun quickly gets the upper hand, and with one swift move, Gi-hun pushes 096 on the platform, and the rope swings, sending player 096 flying into the void below. A chaotic end for a chaotic player, and easily one of the funniest sequences of the season. The next ones are just plain dumb, and that's exactly what makes them so funny. I'm talking about the deaths of player 192 and player 442 during the 5th game, the jump rope bridge. So here's what happens. Player 442 is standing at the edge of the bridge gap, but there are a couple of players just standing still on the other side, so he can't jump over the gap. So he's just frozen there thinking about it for way too long. Meanwhile, right behind him, player 192 is losing his patience fast. He starts yelling at 442, telling him to jump or get out of the way, even threatening to push him if he doesn't move. But 442 still doesn't budge. It's a total standoff. Then the dumbest thing happens. 192 actually grabs 442 from behind, like he's finally going to make a move, but instead of pushing him or jumping with him, they both just stand there, literally holding onto each other in place, doing absolutely nothing. And right at that moment, the giant rope swings in and smacks them both off the platform. They go flying through the air like rag dolls and fall to their deaths, just like that. All that yelling, all the threats, and they die in the dumbest, most pointless way possible, just holding each other and getting wiped out by the rope. It was so stupid, it became hilarious. While 192 and 442's death was pure slapstick, player 349's might be the most bizarre of the entire bridge game. And that's exactly what made it hilarious. Unlike most players who either moved forward or froze in fear, 349 did something completely unexpected. She tried to turn around and go back. That alone made it hilarious because no one else ever thought of doing that, and for good reason. After a few jumps, 349 suddenly froze. You could see the panic all over her face. Her legs were shaking, she was gasping for air, and she clearly had zero confidence to keep going. So what does she do? She turns around and tells the player behind her to move back so she can return to the start. That poor guy tries to listen and turns to go back with her too, but the moment he turns, he slips a bit. And when he recovers balance, it's too late. The rope comes swinging and smacks him clean off the bridge. No chance to react. He's out. 349 keeps going back, jumping carefully across the bridge. She finally makes it back to the platform, coughing and breathing heavily, but she's clearly relieved to have survived. That is, until she looks up. Standing in front of her is none other than Player 203, one of the most aggressive and unlikable players in the entire game in my opinion. He looks down at her and, in the most fake, concerned voice ever, asks, "Are you okay?" Before she can even answer, he kicks and pushes her straight off the platform without hesitation. Just one clean kick, and she's gone. It was such a wild, ridiculous moment. She actually tried to go back, something no one else ever did, and it nearly worked. Until 203 caught up with her. Everything feels empty now, but it's even emptier after this next death. Yoon-hee's death. After witnessing the loss of Gyumja and Hyunju, Joon-hee is beyond broken. There's nothing but despair in her eyes. When the time comes for the 5th game, the atmosphere is heavier than ever. One by one, the remaining players jump the rope and move forward. Most of them dying, everyone except Joon-hee. She's the last one. Back in the 4th game, while trying to escape from player 226 with Hyunju and Gyumja, Joon-hee fractured her left foot. Since then, she's barely been able to walk, let alone jump. So when the 5th game arrives and it's her turn, the arena is already cleared. She stands alone on the edge of the platform. 1 minute remains on the clock. Gi-hun, holding her baby in his arms, urges her to wait, to stay still while he figures out how to help. He yells across the gap that he's coming back for her, but Joon-hee refuses. She tells him that it's no use. With her foot in that condition, she simply cannot jump. It's not fear holding her back, it's the physical impossibility of it. Tears welling in her eyes, she looks at Gi-hun and makes one final request. "Please protect my baby." Gi-hun begs her to try, pleads with her not to give up, not like this. He tells her to give it a chance, to fight for her life. She sheds one last tear, takes one last look at her child, and steps forward. She walks to the edge, whispers goodbye under her breath, and falls into the void. That's where Joon-hee dies. Not from violence or the game's brutality, but from quiet acceptance. She knew she had no chance. Her last act wasn't desperation. It was love. All she wanted was for her child to live and for someone to care. Her final hope rested in Gi-hun, and that was enough for her. After Minsu's revenge, he actually survives the 5th game and becomes a finalist, reaching the final stage. But little did he know, this game would be his last. He is the first player to die in the final game. The 6-0's players secretly agree to eliminate one player in each round, and for the first round, they choose Minsu. He is still under the effects of the Thanos pills, heavily hallucinating and confused. While the O's plan to push Minsu into the void, they hesitate. Getting too close is risky. Minsu might grab onto someone and pull them down with him. They need a safer method. That's when MG Coin picks up a long metal pole. His plan is to push Minsu from a distance. Minsu, in his delusional state, mistakes MG Coin for See Me. He believes the pole being extended toward him is her hand, reaching out to him. Minsu starts crying, emotionally overwhelmed, believing Sami is forgiving him, calling him to go with her. He slowly reaches out, whispering her name. But the truth is far from what he sees. The moment he touches the pole, MG Coin shoves it forward, sending Minsu off the platform and into the void. That marks the end of Minsu, player 125. Though tragic, he died feeling close to the one person he missed the most. In some way, after all the pain he caused and the loss he suffered, Minsu got both revenge on Namgyu and a final, comforting hallucination of Sami. His story ends there. His redemption, grief, and delusion all crashing down into the void along with him. Let's continue with Kim Yun-tae, also known as Player 353. Like most other participants, Yun-tae was in massive financial debt and was approached by the recruiter who offered him a chance to change his life. After playing Dakji and receiving the signature Squid Game card, Yun-Tai decided to join the brutal competition in hopes of clearing his debts. Yun-Tai survived every game up to the jump rope, choosing to continue the games after each round and never showing signs of wanting to quit. Known outside of the game for his math skills, Yun-Tai showcased this ability when he quickly calculated how much money each player would receive after the 5th game. With 44.8 billion won in the prize pool and just a handful of players left, he understood the value of eliminating more contestants. When the final game approached, Yun-Tai and the other 8 finalists rode the elevator up to the arena and discovered that they would play Sky Squid Game. As the platform rose, Jungdae pressed the button to start the first round. From the very beginning, Yun-Tai, along with fellow O voters Jungdae and player 203, plotted to eliminate Gi-hun, Min-soo, and the baby to reduce the number of contestants and increase their potential winnings. This betrayal showed Yun-Tai's willingness to sacrifice anyone for a larger share of the prize. However, things didn't go as planned. During the chaos of the final game, Yun-Tai ended up in a fight with Myung-gi. The fight turned brutal, and ultimately Myung-gi pushed Yun-Tai off the platform into the void, leading to his death. His demise came as a direct result of his greed and betrayal, making him yet another example of how far desperation can push someone in the Squid Game. As cruel as Yun-Tai was, the finalist sitting next to him is even worse. Let's talk about Lee Sung-won, also known as Player 336. When tensions rise between the X and O players before the 4th game, he's seen cursing out the X's, saying that if they want to leave so badly, they shouldn't be stuffing their faces with gimbap. He suggests they should starve instead, which highlighted his increasingly hostile attitude. In Lights Out, Sung-won is seen brutally attacking player 359 using a bed frame, hitting him multiple times. Fortunately, player 359 survived the assault. Later, player 047 wanted to shoot him, along with several other violent O's, players 203, 442, 96, and 296, but was talked down by Gi-hun before anything happened. Although he wasn't shown much during the 4th game, he is confirmed to have killed player 394, which allowed him to pass to the final round. In the final game, when the group discussed voting for who should be eliminated, Sung-won disagreed, believing that direct elimination through action was better than a democratic vote. After that, he turned his aggression toward Gi-hun, attempting to attack him. Gi-hun, however, fought back and drew the knife given to him by the frontmen earlier. Gi-hun warned Sung-won that if he didn't surrender, he would be pushed off the platform. Before Sung-won could respond, Myung-gi intervened and struck him with a metal rod, sending him falling to his death. One of the most unfortunate finalists, Lee Byung-sung, or player 039, the Lunchbox, is the next finalist. During hide-and-seek, he was assigned the role of Seeker. In one moment, he witnessed Cho Hyun-ju killing player 202 in the Rainbow Exit Room, and hilariously chose not to intervene or confront her. Byung-sang ended up killing an unknown player off-screen, which allowed him to pass the game. Later in Jump Rope, he successfully completed the challenge and obviously became one of the finalists. After discovering that Junhee's baby was a player in the final game, he was mortified and exclaimed, "We have to kill her. I can't let this happen." One of his best moments came when, during his turn in the final vote, player 100 Gramps asked if he even needed to vote, and Byung-sung replied that he had already planned to vote O. Byung-sang aligned himself with Gramps' group for the Sky Squid Game. However, in a shocking and random betrayal, his allies turned on him. They ganged up, beat him, and deemed him the Lunchbox, the player to be eliminated in that round. Although Gi-hun and Myung-gi ultimately killed his traitors, player 039, now bloodied and broken, had already accepted his fate, ultimately choosing to take his own life by jumping off the platform despite Myung-gi's desperation, which honestly I applaud him for. This next finalist, in my opinion, is easily one of the most unlikable and downright despicable players. Kim Gi-min, better known as Player 203. Like everyone else, he scraped through the first 3 games, but his true colors showed quickly. After the 3rd voting round, when the O and X factions clashed, Gi-min was clearly with Team O. He threw his jacket to the ground in rage and got in Daeho's face, showing early signs of just how aggressive and hostile he could get. During the Lights Out game, he really crossed the line. He was seen sneaking around in the dark before brutally stabbing player 094 to death. This is where his ruthlessness came out in full force. Later, he was spotted with his hands up alongside Lee Sung-won, player 096, player 296, and player 442 just before the rebellion broke out when player 047 tried to shoot some O players. In the fourth game, Knives and Keys, Geeman was part of the red team. He waited in a bright yellow room ready to ambush other players once the group split up. He even saved Yongsik from player 197's attack, proving he could cooperate, but only when it served his own agenda. Then came the final game, Squid Game, where everything fell apart for him. After Myung-gi kicked Yun-tae off the platform, Geeman snapped. He pinned Gi-hun down, screaming in rage, and nearly killed him. But Gi-hun fought back, stabbing Geeman multiple times in vital spots before finally overpowering him. Geeman bled out right there on the platform, a fitting end for someone whose violence and betrayal ultimately cost him everything. Gramps' death was one of the most satisfying. After being such a horrible human being, betraying almost everyone who helped him, and plotting to end the lives of nearly every player, he finally gets the ending he truly deserves: death. Gramps, throughout the games, showed zero remorse. He manipulated others, especially those who trusted him, and his greed was unmatched. As the final game progressed, the tension rose. In the second round, 4 of the 6 O's had already been eliminated by fighting each other. Jungdae found himself isolated and vulnerable. Desperate, Gramps tried to bargain with Gi-hun and MG Coin. He promised to give them a share of his massive winnings if they spared his life. But by this point, Gi-hun and MG Coin had no trust left in the man. They saw through his lies and manipulation. No one was buying it anymore. Armed with a metal pole, the same weapon used in previous eliminations, Gi-hun and MG Coin approached Gramps. Without hesitation, they pushed him toward the edge. Gramps struggled, begging and pleading, but it was too late. The pole pushed him off the platform, and he fell into the void. Finally, justice was served, and with it, a glimmer of hope for the remaining players still fighting for survival. While Gramps' death felt like long-awaited justice for a lifetime of lies and betrayal, MG Coin's death came as the final blow in a downward spiral of greed, cowardice, and cruelty. Throughout the season, we saw how much MG Coin changed, revealing his true side: a greed-driven man who didn't care about the deaths of other players, or even his own daughters, the baby Jun-hee gave birth to. MG Coin instantly turned his back on Gi-hun, wanting to kill both Gi-hun and the baby. He demanded Gi-hun leave the baby on the floor and back away. But Gi-hun remembered the promise to protect Jun-hee's baby at all costs, so he refused. After MG Coin threatened repeatedly to kill them both if Gi-hun didn't obey, Gi-hun reluctantly complied. He left the baby on the bridge leading to the next round and backed away. MG Coin picked up the baby, but Gi-hun, almost out of time, jumped to the next round, preparing to fight MG Coin. MG Coin left the baby on the floor, eyes locked on Gi-hun, ready to kill him. However, when he saw Gi-hun had a sharp knife the frontman had given him, MG Coin realized he wasn't strong enough to kill Gi-hun. In a desperate move, MG Coin grabbed his own daughter and held her out over the void. Dropping the baby would mean certain death. Gi-hun couldn't let that happen, so he risked everything to save the baby, and then the fight began. After an intense struggle, MG Coin eventually falls to his death, just like so many others before him. Honestly, this was a relief for a lot of fans, as MG Coin had become one of the most unlikable characters, almost a full villain by the end. His death felt like justice served, closing the chapter on one of the darkest players in the game. The last and most heartbreaking, yet strangely expected death is that of Gi-hun. After his intense fight with MG Coin, he realizes something shocking. He never pressed the button on the floor to start the round. Without pressing it, MG Coin's death doesn't count as a game elimination. That means only 2 people are left, Gi-hun and the baby. Gi-hun now faces a devastating choice. Once the button is pressed, the round begins and one of them must die for the other to win. Either he sacrifices himself or the baby dies. He presses the button. The countdown starts. The VIPs watch silently, anticipating his decision. Gi-hun walks slowly to the edge of the platform, holding the baby close. He looks down into the void for a long, painful time, fully aware this is his end. He reflects on everything: the rebellion, the losses, Hyunju's sacrifice, Gyumja's pain, Junhee's death. the death of his best friend, Young-bae, and most of all, the promise he made to protect this child. With seconds left, Gi-hun kneels down. He gently kisses the baby's forehead. He places her softly on the ground, making sure she's safe. Then, taking one final breath, he stands again, silent and composed. As the countdown nears 0, Gi-hun takes a final step forward and falls into the void. Gi-hun sacrifices himself for Junhee's baby. It's another suicide, but this time it's an act of pure love and protection. The main character of the series, the soul of the story, is gone. This was the most heartbreaking death for many fans and the final blow of the season. Player 456 eliminated.